Do we have another Mascot Towers? Structural issues at a Sydney development. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because we're going to have a look at a project which has got some structural issues and is making some headlines in the newspapers. And this is the Skyview project out near Castle Hill in Sydney. But before we have a look at this article and a talk about what's going on there, what I want to draw your attention to is just the triangle of fail. And this is what I call Mascot Towers. You've got Zetland's apartments, you've got Sugar Cube here. Just some of the issues that we've encountered and discovered in Sydney apartment buildings. Now, the Sydney sector has overheated. There's been a lot of construction work going on for years. It really overheated in 16-17. Now, here's the issue, guys. If you rush something, if you overheat something, that's when people will cut corners, when people just maybe don't have the time to check things properly, or stuff just genuinely gets missed. And you've got to realize that buildings are unique works of art. They're not mass-produced. They're not like cars. They're not like refrigerators. Even the mass-produced buildings are unique. And I know because I've worked on a lot of them. Now, you're always going to have defects and issues with a building as they're finishing off. It's always going to, there'll be unique situations on site that you didn't identify during the project. And that will have ramifications. That's why you need to have contingency sums. That's why the builders and the project team need to plan for that and be aware that it's going to happen. You're never going to have a building that's completely perfect. You're never going to have a building without defects. But what you should have is a team that's going to come in and solve it before it gets handed over, and that the defects are going to be rectified so the building is meeting its purpose and is, safe and can be lived in. So those are the things to remember. Now, the issue is we've got so many people wanting to rush out there and become a property, genius and buy one after the other. They'll rush and they'll buy something off the plan and then they'll be shocked that it doesn't turn out exactly like they expect. Well, there's one real simple solution. Just don't buy these things before they've been built, everyone. It's shocking. I get, perhaps it's just my perspective as an architect, having worked in the industry. We really, back at uni, it was hammered home to us just the risk of latent conditions. And I'm even seeing it right now on my own house. I've just, torn apart or demolished a portion of the house, and it's exposed a piece bearer that I'm probably going to have to replace. Now, I never accounted for that. I couldn't see it before I removed stuff. That's what happens in these buildings. Same thing on big commercial buildings as well. But you should have the money set aside to deal with it. So let's have a look at this article that the ABC is talking about. Fair trading inspectors find structural issues at the major Sydney apartment development. Now, they're probably, here's the thing. It's not, is fair trading coming in and discovering it and then telling the builder about it, or have they just been informed about it and it's already being dealt with? They're the two ways to look at it, guys. So you've got to understand that these issues can happen. A whistleblower sent these images to several New South Wales MPs, ABC News said. I mean, there's a lot of problems in construction, and you're going to have more and more people calling for more government, more regulation, so they pretend like that these problems will go away. But that's not going to be the issue. It has to be market demand. You've got to have consumers demanding certain things from developers, not buying off developers that aren't giving guarantees, that are worth something, realizing that you're dealing with a Phoenix company that can disappear. Sadly, we don't really learn these things until it's too late. One of Sydney's biggest residential property developments is under review amid the discovery of structural issues that will require specialist engineering advice. That's okay. I mean, that's normal. Okay, you'll be surprised on a building like this how many engineers and how many specialists you'll have involved in a project like that. Two place groups, Skyview apartment complex in Castle Hill, will consist of about 960. 900. Why the hell would you buy in a complex where you've got 960 other people that may be selling, renting, competing with you? Why? Just nearly 1,000 apartments. Insane. Luxurious, that's why. 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments, many of which have already been sold off the plan. Oh boy, let's let's bring this up here, everyone. We'll have a look. This is where it is in Sydney. If you're not familiar, over here, the Skyview Apartments. Here. And I mean, this is another development just recently. I found some really dodgy comments about this one on Google. But let's jump in at Street View and have a look at Skyview. And you can see here, as we'll move and the building will appear. There you go. Boom. Why would you want to live in one of these, everyone? Okay, you tell me. I don't get it. I like my backyard, but okay, there you go. Remember, you're competing with every one of them. But a team of inspectors from New South Wales Fair Trading has reported finding the existence of structural issues that would require specialist engineering advice, as the company seeks occupation certificates for at least 2 of its 5 towers. While 2 towers are almost ready, the 3rd and 4th are under construction and the 5th is yet to be built. We can see that here. Two Place has refuted the concerns, saying it has absolute faith in its work and private structural engineers had cleared the buildings. The fresh inspections by Fair Trading comes after ABC News and several MPs received images of the development's basement during construction earlier this year from an industry whistleblower asking for an investigation into uneven concrete. Two Place subsequently allowed ABC News to tour the basement, where remediation works appeared to include metal plates bolted across concrete joints. So they're looking at ways to deal with it. So there you go. I mean, this is the thing, everyone. The fact that it's getting dealt with and the issues are identified and solved before ABC rocked up on site and before the people have moved in, this is what you want. Okay, this is good, and good on the person getting the images out there to kind of, maybe give it a bit of a kick. But this is, in some ways, this is encouraging, seeing that they're going out. You don't want, years later, when the Phoenix builder or developer is completely non-existent, people are just in trouble and gone. ABC News has spoken to several independent structural engineers who said the images sent by the whistleblower warranted review. And now, these images weren't by the whistleblower, it was these images here. Well, yeah, of course they would. I mean, ag props. There you go. Everyone's... If you see these underneath a basement, be worried. Be worried. So, Director of SCP Engineers and Development Consultants, Paul Syward, said the photos appear to indicate failure of the slab connection, resulting in slab settlement and loss of support, something that would require remediation work. Whilst the cause may be either design or construction related, or both, the result is significant remedial work would need to be undertaken to restore the structural integrity and the fire rating compliance. Well, look at that. That looks terrible. That looks yeah. Good. Good that it's been identified and sorted, everyone. Kind of sad that it got to that point. The development is currently under review by its 3rd private certifier, City Plan Services, which was appointed in March after its first certifier was deregistered and its 2nd resigned. Okay, that's interesting. One argument I make is that every project should have 2 or 3 certifiers put on it, or 2 certifiers, a dual certification system, both hired and paid for by the contractor, one representing the builder, one representing the neighboring occupants. Yeah. So you've got 2 professionals that have to collude with the builder to do the dodge, which there's less chance of it happening. Maybe have one that's appointed by the developer directly and the other one by lottery. Because this is the problem. Traditional police people in the industry, the architects, the certifiers that observed the construction process and ensured hopefully some level of quality and alignment with the documentation under a design and construct process, are often pushed underneath the builders. So then if you arc up and complain, you could lose work. That's the risk you take, guys. Upon appointment, City Plan Services informed the New South Wales Building Commissioner it had concerns about previous certification work, but had reached an understanding with the developer that the previous work would be thoroughly reviewed. That's fine. That's what these certifiers are taking on a lot of risk. So by doing that, they have to come in and review everything, go through it all again. That's a lot of stress there. City Plan Services issued the company with a written direction notice requiring the appointment of an independent engineer to undertake a review of the buildings, which is now underway. Details of the fresh inspection by fair trading officers were outlined by New South Wales Minister for Better Regulation, Kevin Anderson, in a letter to Greens MP David Shoebridge, one of the politicians who referred the matter to the building commissioner after receiving information from the whistleblower. Following the receipt of your letter, even though there was already action being taken by the development arising from the certifier performing his functions, Fairtrade sent a team of authorised officers to the site on the 16th of April 2021, Minister Anderson wrote. So this is the thing. It's already being addressed. So this is good news, people. I know it's rare. I know it's rare to discuss good news with regards to building, but I want to see the positive spin on this. The inspection confirmed the existence of structural issues that would require specialist engineering advice, and that the certifier was appropriately handling the matter. The Office of New South Wales Building Commissioner David Chandler said it was aware of allegations of defects, but had full faith in the certifier's review. The Office of the Building Commissioner is aware that there have been allegations of serious defects existing at the Skyview building and is still under construction, said a spokeswoman. Occupation certificate inspections from the department have inspected the relevant work and identified that the matter is being managed appropriately by a private certifier. The Building Commissioner's Office is then expected to undertake its own independent audit of the expert reports. According to New South Wales law, new developments must be given an occupation certificate as the final step in a construction process before residents are allowed to move into a completed part of the building. And this is where some of these certifiers are doing the dodge. You can give a temporary occupation certificate, a conditional one, essentially. We'd often do it when we were doing Lorna Jane shops down in New South Wales, where, okay, they'd have to move a little fire sprinkler head or they'd have to do a minor thing to get completely up to code, but risk-wise, it for the time, for a period of time, it wasn't concerning. So that would, the certifier would say, okay, conditional to this, you've got certification. You can open the doors, meet your time frame, but then have someone come in a couple of days' time, move a sprinkler head or make a small change like that. But some of these dodgy certifiers have been given these type of temporary certifications, and buildings have been occupied by people living in them, not a shop, for 10 years, where there isn't enough clearance to get down a fire escape. And that's a life safety issue. 10 years. So this is why you need multiple certifiers on these projects so there's no collusion. And all the dodgy ones are weeded out. All the ones that are doing matey-mate with the builders. I'd also argue we need clerks of work back. The review comes amid growing public concern over the standards of construction work in New South Wales after high-profile buildings had to be evacuated in Sydney over the past 3 years. In 2018, hundreds of residents were forced to evacuate the Opal Tower at Olympic Park after cracks started to appear in the building's concrete beams. In 2019, Mascot Towers in Sydney's south were evacuated amid fears one of the buildings could collapse. Residents have been unable to return to their homes since many of the 132 apartment owners are left financially destitute. Greens MP David Shoebridge said the public deserved to be informed of the progress of the review into the Skyview development. Why? It's a... Okay, I know the politicians feel like they want to get involved in every aspect, but you realize you've deployed all these people there to inspect something that's just said, okay, it's all going fine. We don't need the government involved in every part of our business. We need a more informed consumer group so that they can actually demand things of the developers. That's what we need. You don't want to depend on the politicians to come in. Because what you know what he's doing. He's a Greens, so he's going to try and, amp this up to get clout and to get some, political leverage. I'm glad to see that it's on the Building Commissioner's radar, he said. He should be said, I'm glad to see that the certifiers are solving the problems themselves. We've raised it with him directly in the government because we were concerned. New South Wales Labor spokeswoman for building reform, Yasmin Catley, also requested a review after receiving the same information. The building commissioner needs to get involved. He needs to utilise everything that is his fingertips, she said. Allegations are unfounded and malicious, Two Place said. Or Top Place? After raising concerns with Two Place, a team of construction managers from the company provided ABC News with a tour of the basement showing recent remediation works. Yeah, see, this is it. The developer isn't hiding it from ABC. They're letting the reporters come through the building. And notice how the whistleblower only sent it to one political side, to only the interventionist side. Well, the more interventionist and authoritarian side of the house, not the slightly less interventionist side. Welcome to Australia, everyone. That's the two sides we have. So it included a series of metal plates bolted between concrete slabs in the shared basement beneath the towers. A Two Place spokesperson completely rejected allegations of structural problems and said aside from aesthetic defects, the building had no other issues. And this is the thing, you're always going to have little stuff that just needs to get sorted. Okay, this is just normal. Buildings are really complex, everyone. They're really complex. And aesthetic defects could be, a chippy scratch in something or a minor defect here or there. We have opened the building completely to inspection by the ABC, they said. The building has been subject to unfound and malicious allegations. The building has been found to be entirely sound and built to a high standard. The issues were first raised in January 2020. They said one engineer firm sourced by Two Place had previously given it its own tick of approval over the remediation work, while another company provided a peer review. So they've already had two engineers involved. Because, I haven't seen people on a job this big, you wouldn't want to be doing the dodge. They just chuck money at it to make sure they get it done right at this point. They're so far involved in the project. This is why the certifier coming in, he can demand whatever he wants. Whatever he wants. I'm hoping he's getting pretty good pay for this. Because, there's an element of stress as well associated with it. Remediation works began at the time with design solutions. Continued inspections and monitoring occurred, and first physical works occurred in mid-2020. Remediation work occurred from January 2020 and were completed before the 22nd of February 2021. Sign-off has been provided by the relevant authorized consultants and contractors for all elements of the site without issue. On that basis, there is no issues across the site. Two Place said the photos sent to MPs depicted expansion joints designed into the building to permit the slabs to move as the concrete expands and contracts. I think the issue is a little bit of crack in here, But see, this is the thing. You've got all these beautiful European details where they've got nice finished edges to the expansion joints, and it all comes in. And I remember we tried to detail that up on a job, and it looks nice. It's expensive though. So yeah, there you go, everyone. What do you think? So there we have it. What are the solutions and lessons to this? Well, first, if you really are worried about a building, don't buy off the plan, everyone. Okay? Because if you're buying off the plan, you're taking on board part of the risk of the construction. If you wait for the building to be finished and you come in later, then do that. Then you don't buy off the plan. I've spoken about this many times, but Florian, it'll be more expensive. Well, maybe, maybe not. There's all the stories of people buying off the plans and not having enough deposit, or the property, even worse, the property going down in value, and they can't get enough finance from the bank, so they're having to do the runner. The other one I would suggest, and I'll link to this video, is to look at implementing a dual or tri-certification system, where you have two certifiers on the job, as I said, and they need to come to an agreement on each thing, and then you have a third certifier that arbitrates if they disagree. You don't need the government to come in and ride on the back of this for political clout, because that's what's happening, guys. It's just theater. It's theatre. It's not going to solve the problems. And maybe we need to get the Clerk of Works back, and that should be a marketing point of difference, and demand that from your developers. What do you reckon? So guys, generally, I think it's some good news in this one. The developer took ABC through, showed them the remediation works, and that's encouraging. What do you reckon? Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us by signing up to SelfWealth or Stake, where if you go for SelfWealth, we each get 5 free share trades, or for Stake, you can, when you fund your account, we each get 1 free share. You can use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband, buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.